What's going on, YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Robin, issue number 7. This one's written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Gleb Melnikoff and Max Dunbar. I wanted to make sure I included both of them. I initially tried recording this thing earlier on this morning, but for whatever reason, the file I was trying to upload just had some sort of weird error going on there, and it just wouldn't post, and no matter what I did, it just wouldn't work. So I'm like, screw it, it's corrupted, might as well just go ahead and re-record the whole thing. So here's my attempt number 2. Hopefully this one goes through. But anyways, this issue picks up right after the events of issue 6, where at the end of that issue we had Damian going face to face with Respawn, and this issue deals with Damian fighting Respawn. Then we also had some stuff with Flatline, and we also find out the identity of who Mother Soul is, which, if you read the solicitations for January, it would explain who that is. But if you haven't, you find out in this issue. I wish they would have kind of held that off until after this issue came out, but I don't know, solicitations, they tend to be spoiler heavy. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this issue. But the first thing I want to mention is this cover right here. As you can tell, it says Robin and Flatline, will they or won't they? Because that's been kind of a thing going on here, where Damian's manga that he's reading kind of mirrors him in Flatline. Like, she's definitely like a reflection of the girl in the romance manga that he's been reading. And this issue, based on the description of it, talks about how Damian's supposed to receive a smooch from Flatline, and is like, is Damian going to survive a girlfriend? I'm here to tell you that this cover and that description for this issue is completely 100% misleading. In fact, nothing in this issue really reflects what's in the description for this issue. There's no real romance. Well, there's kind of something at the end of it, but there's no real kissing or Damian trying to survive having a girlfriend. I'm not exactly sure why that description was placed for this issue. Was it something that was initially planned, but as they were writing it, they kind of pushed those plans to the later half of this Robin book? Because based on this cover right here, it's like, oh, it must be all about Robin and Flatline's whole romantic feelings for each other. No, it's not that at all. It's kind of bizarre why this cover is here for this issue. It's just meant to mislead the audience, it feels like, or maybe teasing things for future issues. But based on a cover like this, you would think there'd be more to it, but there really isn't. So let's go ahead and quickly summarize what happens in this issue. So as it opens up, we see Damian going toe-to-toe with Respawn, who my theory is that he is Grant Wilson. In fact, Damian starts to unmask him, and you see a little bit of the white hair there, which makes you think, oh, this must be Grant Wilson, or definitely resembling somewhat of Slade. I don't think Grant had the white hair, but perhaps for all we know, he could have changed since he is a Wilson. So we had that going on there, or he could be a Slade clone, or maybe some other long-lost Deathstroke kid that nobody's aware of. I kind of hope not. I don't think Slade needs another kid. He's already got 3. There's no reason to add another one, so I'm kind of hoping that this turns out to be Grant Wilson. I think that would be the best move going forward. If it's like some other Slade clone or some other offspring, I just don't really see anything that'll work other than it just being Grant Wilson. So Damian knocks his ass off a cliff, and he pretty much dies there. He confronts Mother Soul, who mentions, oh, quite a clever plan that you had, trying to get yourself knocked into me to steal the book. And then Damian comes to realize, okay, I know who you really are. And it turns out that Mother Soul is Damian's great-grandmother. So she is the mother of Ra's al Ghul. So I was off. I thought she was going to be like Damian's grandmother, like Raz's wife, but it's his mom. So that's the twist right there. So they got me there. Soul of the demon, Ra al Ghul. I think that's how I pronounce it. I'm not exactly sure. So, or Ru al Ghul. I don't know. That's the thing too with Raz and Raish. It's kind of that thing where you don't know which one to necessarily say. Some people pronounce it differently, but I'm going to go with Ra al Ghul for right now, which I'm glad that it is his great-grandmother. I think that makes things a little bit more interesting than just being his grandma. This is Ra's al Ghul's mom, and she's still around kicking, which explains why Raz isn't necessarily there, because clearly he had some sort of falling out with his mother, and he wants nothing to do with this whole League of Lazarus thing. And we also come to find out that the island itself has, you know, that whole Lazarus pit thing that was going on there? Basically that giant ass pit, which has kind of like become fully immersed in the island itself to where you don't even need the pit itself to kind of become resurrected, which is an interesting take on it. So immediately Respawn just kind of gets back up. So theoretically, if Damian did get dropped off that cliff and wasn't saved by Goliath in issue 3 or 4, he would have come back almost immediately. So we got that going on here. Damian's going to try and warn everybody from Mother Soul's plan, because she's trying to resurrect some sort of demon and bring it to life. That's what all the violence and sacrifices are there. It's meant to fuel this power. So he tries to warn Rose about the whole thing, showing that he definitely has a bit of a protective side. He's like, you got to get the hell out of here. We need to get off this island. This is a danger. I got to stop Mother Soul. But Connor Hawk's there. He comes in and gets into the fight with Rose. Then here comes Flatline. So if you read, I was kind of expecting there to be something based on the cover, like a bit of a romantic thing. But this issue isn't really like that. It's definitely misleading with it. So Flatline comes in. She's like, may I have this dance? Damian tries to warn her about the whole thing. He's like, you were right. Or we were right, Flatline. There's definitely something going on here, more so than we thought. So you shouldn't really be fighting me. And she's initially like, no, I'm still going to fight you. And initially, Damian's kind of hesitant to fight back. And she realizes this. She's like, come on, actually, like, put some effort into it. So they get into their fight. Damian even questions her, why are you here? We know why Lord Deathman sent you, so what are you really doing here? And she comes to the explanation that I came here so I could learn to live, which is an interesting explanation. So they get into their whole fight. She's getting ready to do her whole heart ripping out of the chest thing like she did before, but Damian learned from last time, so he catches her arm, then he throws her, and then she hits a rock, but she ends up kind of getting stabbed through the side, which mirrors what's happening in the whole manga thing. This is actually kind of a sad moment in the issue. Yeah, she's going to get brought back to life, but you really get the sense that Damian has just kind of had it with the whole killing thing. I mean, obviously he's going to have to deal with Connor Hawk and all that, and I think he's probably going to lose his second life, and I think Connor will probably become immortal by being the, I don't know, like the body for the demon itself. So yeah, we got that going on there. Damian's like, are you bleeding? She says it's just a scratch. She's like, oh, come on, I know this isn't your first time. And then as soon as she basically flatlines, you get kind of this sad moment here where Damian just kind of looks over her dead body and just kind of like, you have the spirit of Alfred kind of watching over him right there. It's kind of got some magic stuff going on. I don't know if it's a ghost. I don't know what's the deal with Alfred, because initially I was thinking, oh, it must be like a Ratatouille thing with that basically being his equivalent to Chef Gusteau to Remy the rat. If you've seen Ratatouille, like Remy the rat, like he manifests Gusteau like in his mind to kind of communicate to, in order to, you know, go through different situations and stuff. So yeah, we got that going on there, and Damian basically just kind of holds her wrist, and she's at this point flatlined. Mother Soul warned him about making friends on the island and how dangerous it was, and Damian just he's kind of upset about this whole thing, but he made sure to kind of hold her hand, or like her wrist, to make sure she would resuscitate. And of course you see her pulse kind of coming back. Damian talks about he's going to put an end to this whole thing and he's going to stop her, but immediately Connor Hawk comes in because he just killed Rose Wilson, and they're going to have the round 2 of their big fight. So yes, Damian's going to get ready to face off against Connor Hawk for the last time. Flatline, I'm sure, will come back. Respawn, I should also mention, after getting his ass kicked and killed by Damian, is so anxious to get back into the fight. And here's the thing that's kind of confuses me about this whole like situation with this thing, because they mention how you have 3 lives, but Damian and Connor are supposed to be the final round of the tournament. Like, what about people who've only died twice? Do they not get a third chance? Or maybe the third chance is just reserved for individuals who are basically on their last. I don't know how it's all necessarily going to work. So I guess the final round is going to happen between Damian and Connor. I don't know how the rules of the tournament work at this point. I know you basically just have 3 lives. Is it just going to keep going until there's one last person standing, and then they get granted the gift of immortality? It's all kind of up in the air. But yeah, so initially when I read this thing this morning, I was a little kind of put off because I was expecting something different based on the cover to this issue. But as I read it again, like more than once, I really kind of came around to the issue. There's a lot of action in here. The artwork is still really good. I didn't really tell the difference. I couldn't even tell that there was 2 artists that worked on it, because I just saw Gleb's style, because I've been reading the other things. So whoever worked on it with him, let's take a look at the Max Dunbar. they did a really good job, like, seamlessly matching with each other. So I didn't really notice any real differences in the art style. I think it all went really good, worked out really well. There's a lot of action, a lot of visual storytelling. That's the thing with this Robin book. It's not like crammed with so much dialogue. A lot of the story is told through the visuals, and I really like that. You don't needlessly need to cram in so much dialogue into every single issue. And here it's just like, we got a lot of fighting and the visuals tell the story. So I quite like that a bit. But overall consensus, I do think Robin 7 is worth checking out. If you're expecting, but you may be disappointed if you're a Robin and Flatline shipper and expecting more in this issue based on this cover right here. I mean, this looks like some sort of romance issue based on this, but it's not really there. And of course, the description of the issue mentions there's supposed to be some sort of kiss, but that's not in the issue at all. I guess you could say the kiss of death was there. So yeah, I'm excited because next month we're going to have 2 issues of Robin to talk about. So that's always good. I kind of am disappointed that Robin's only a once a month thing, because I'm really enjoying this book and I just want more of it. And I get excited, like, yeah, here we go, the new issue of Robin. And then it finally comes out and I'm like, oh man, now I got to wait another month. But the good news is next month we have 2 issues. So there's that. All right, well, if you've read Robin issue number 7, tell me your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Be sure to hit that bell for notifications, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Be sure to come back later, as I'm sure I'll have more DC comic book reviews out later on today. But I want to get this Robin thing out, and hopefully this upload goes up, because the first one I did not work at all. So fingers crossed, please work for me. All right, that's all I got to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.